want to feel this sorrow. I don't want to feel this anger. And I stop them right there and go, hey, nobody gets a pain-free pass in this life, ever. And if you don't want to feel that, then you're actually setting yourself up to not feel. And if you want to have great love and passion and excitement and joy, you're going to have to feel the other stuff too. I just think it's a matter of what we do with the other stuff. I use an example in the book, and it's an easy example for me to use, is I get very angry over human slavery in the world. Mm-hmm. And instead of complaining about it and, just telling my friends how infuriating it is, and instead of it fueling something inside of me that I can't do anything, I take an action and I take the anger and I make it productive. I'm involved in anti-slave movements. I'm involved in, my center carries all kinds of fair trade and handmade products from survivors. So instead of staying in the anger, I've used it to create something positive from it. So I think that people can choose to use the anger constructively, and then it kind of fizzles out. Then it kind of gets replaced with love and excitement and hope instead of fueling, keeping it there.
So is that the second step right there that you were mentioning earlier?
Yeah, that is part of the second step. The process, the second step program, which is really flying solo, I do a series of classes, and the first book, Rising from the Ashes of Divorce, was the first 8-week program. The first week, we really focus on people's stories and how they're stuck in their story. And the second week is about identifying your emotions. So a lot of times people will think they're angry when really they're afraid. Mm-hmm. So they'll think they're really angry at their ex-spouse when it really comes down to they're afraid of being alone or unloved or not financially secure. So what we try to do is we try to identify and really understand the real feeling instead of sometimes our masked or our misunderstood emotions.
This work that you're doing could be the first time a person's even facing this in their entire lifetime.
Absolutely.
Identifying their emotions. I mean, it requires a lot of honesty.
It's big work, but what I try to do with the workbook is make it really palpable. I had found, and I do find in my individual coaching practice, and even when I speak, a lot of people will pick up a lot of self-help books, and they'll read like a chapter of it, and it makes them maybe feel inadequate. They don't understand the concepts. They don't feel they can really apply them, and they put the book down, and they never get through it. And my whole goal for this work was to make it easy enough so that people could really apply the principles and see that, these things are for all of us. They dwell in all of us. That wisdom is in each of us, and we can awaken it with some simple exercises. And like I said, understanding your emotions, changing your perspective, working on forgiveness. So there's just some really basic tools, but the perfect tools you need to create a great garden. That's what I like to call it.
It sounds like that not only people who have suffered through divorce could use your book.
I've actually had I had a woman recently write in on Facebook and told me that it saved her marriage. I was in shock. She said, I've been blaming my husband for my unhappiness, and rising from the ashes of divorce, flying solo, is the idea that you have to love you. In a relationship or outside of a relationship, you cannot look to a relationship to give you a life. You have to have your own life. So you have to have your own passions, understand your values, be able to name your emotions, be able to set clear boundaries, and be able to bless and release the things that no longer serve you in your past. So it was really exciting for me to get that Facebook message. Obviously, it was the last thing I expected.
But it didn't surprise you?
No, I'm remarried now for 6 years.
Congratulations.
Yes, and I have a blended family, so I have stepchildren, and actually at my book launch yesterday, my ex-husband was at the book launch, something that I didn't even think would be possible. So, time and lots of forgiveness, and both of us actively working on, our own stuff has really been helpful. But when I teach the work, I actually will be working with people and go, this is an area I need to work on a little bit more. So I need to, focus on that. So, it's definitely work. It's work that we can all do on ourselves.
So humility plays a role.
Oh, it plays a huge role. I don't believe I have the answer for anyone. I believe that I was a conduit for the truth, and I think the truth comes to different people, and some people digest it in one way, and other people digest it in another way. But my hope with my work is to awaken what's that person's truth. I created a center called A Life Well Lived, and that's the name, actually, of the wellness center that I have here in New Jersey in the U.S. And what we do is we try and offer people different tools to figure out what living well means to them. And how could I possibly know what living well means to another soul? I think you have to define that for yourself.
And you create the conduit to make that possible.
Right. So there's really the thing I'm the most proud of with the work is that there's really no judgment. I don't hold this hierarchy like I'm the coach above you. I mean, I'm working right with my clients. The book is a tool that's meant to inspire and awaken what's in that person. It's about your own individual best life. But you have to have that before you can be in a relationship. You have to have a strong sense of self, I think, before you can forgive a past relationship and before you can be in a new healthy relationship.
We'll be back in a moment with Beth Tiger.
You are tuned into Slade Suter Live on Authenticity Radio.
Hi there, this is Slade Suter, and I am encouraging you to purchase Beth Tiger's book, Out of the Ashes of Divorce. In my opinion, it is not just for people undergoing a divorce. It is for absolutely everyone that wants to know how to build a better relationship, starting with yourself. It could even save your marriage. So go out, check it out, buy this book. You will not regret it.
Visit us on the web, www.authenticityradio.com.
And we return with Beth Tiger, Rising from the Ashes of Divorce. Now, Beth, I'm curious, does regression play a role in rising from the ashes? Whenever I'm going through steps, whenever I'm trying to do a self-help program, I always regress. Do you get feedback that some people are trying to make it out or they're following your steps and then they find themselves back to the very beginning, helplessness, or they're locked in anger, or they're finding themselves that they can't find it in them to do the forgiveness and the releasing?
All the time. The forgiveness is the biggest hurdle to get over, and it's something that I think, like doing sit-ups, we have to practice every day, and we have to make it a daily practice to be able to forgive and to be able to forgive ourselves. But I think it's so layered that I don't know if it's, for me, as much regressing as it is dealing with emotions as they come up. I get a lot of people who think, yep, I'm separated, I'm divorced, I did my therapy, I saw a coach, I'm good. And then suddenly their ex-spouse is getting remarried and they find themselves right back to square one in terms of their emotional state. They feel sadness or betrayal or anger again. And what I encourage my clients and even the reader in this work is, you're going to have to revisit the work, because we're going to be faced with challenges throughout our life, especially life after divorce. You now bring in a new spouse, and your ex-partner brings in a new spouse, and maybe there's children that get involved. Or I had a client recently who's divorced 20 years, and her adult daughter is getting married, and she was felt like she was back to square one because she was going to have to walk down the aisle with that man, and realized that she hadn't dealt with a lot of the anger that she had. She hadn't really dealt with her story, and that's my biggest work in this, is understanding your story and understanding the role you played, learning the lessons, and then losing the story, not living in the story of your divorce. What I mean by that is, for instance, I'll have a client, I'm just giving a random, making one up, who feels they were hit with the whammy stick. Their spouse came in and said, I'm having an affair, and I'm not happy, and now there's a divorce, and so the client is seeing me as a victim. He or she feels that the other person's a villain, and they never saw it happening. And so what I work with them in seeing, my goal is for them to understand, where were the compromises? What started happening in the marriage that one of you felt that you needed to leave the marriage to be fulfilled? So, because what a lot of divorcees tend to do is they focus on the end. This was the reason we got divorced. And there's usually not one reason. Marriage takes it's a process. And we usually create a sacred contract with our beloveds or our partners at the very beginning of dating. Did you allow that person to be late? Did you allow that person to disrespect you? Did you compromise your values in the beginning? Did you have children when you didn't want to have them? So I go way back to the beginning, and I, work with my clients to understand the story of their marriage so that they can learn the lessons and then move on.
It's interesting, Beth. You use the word allow, which entails choice, which is followed up by responsibility. Yes. Did I allow this person to abuse me in any way, shape, or form? Means did I make a choice to allow this person? Mm-hmm. And taking ownership of that is saying, oh my God, I in fact did. I let this person at the very beginning start walking all over me, either mentally, emotionally, spiritually, or physical abuse. It doesn't really matter. It's all abuse. No. Mm-hmm. And just the point of saying, hey, I have responsibility here.
Right.
Maybe it wasn't conscious at the time, but still now at least I see that I have a choice. Retrospectively, as I look back at my life and I see that this person has been walking over me like a carpet. A magic carpet. Yeah. When though, Slade, when we do that, I get a lot of resistance. I get a load of resistance. It's not my fault. I didn't see it coming. You're making it my fault. And it's not about making either party wrong or right. It's about taking ownership of where the compromises or what the contract in terms of your marriage looked like, so that moving forward, you can see when you're beginning to compromise your values in another relationship. And it doesn't even need to be an intimate relationship. It can be a work relationship. It can be a friendship. It can be a parental relationship. But if we don't take responsibility, we're always the victim, but we're also not able. I look at it this way. If I cannot take responsibility, then I have no power to change my life experience. If I'm at the mercy of somebody else's whims and their decisions, then I'm powerless here. I'm powerless to start creating a new chapter in my life. So I really encourage my clients to look at the contracts, because we all create them, and it's very hard because we feel, I think forgiving ourselves is usually the hardest thing anyway. So then we feel like there's blame or there's shame, and there absolutely is not. It's just ownership. So we can go, I bless and I release it. I know better. I'm going to do better now. I want better. I see a lot of clients who tell me about their marriage and how devastated they were, that it ended after 30 years. And sometimes I'll say, so were you able to shout at the mountaintops that, yes, this person, I love this person, I'm passionate about this person, we actively work on our romantic connection, we're very committed to the sacred garden of our relationship, they stretch me and make me the best person I can be?